What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Clearly Distorted podcast, where we discuss our clearly thought out ideas shared through our distorted lenses. Welcome back. This is episode 14. Thank you. Like, share, subscribe. Keep dropping those comments. Check out the Instagram and Facebook group. What's going on, guys? I'm Damian, by the way. The shower god. That's Julian, the prolific hater, and Patricia, aka she ain't all there. What you guys got going on?
You know, before we begin, I gotta say, I have a new nickname for Damian. Now we're gonna stick with the shower god.
I like it though.
He likes it, but what he doesn't know is I have another one. So
no, I was saying I like
told
the
him,
shower god.
Yeah, okay. So I was saying I could call him the devil's advocate, right? That was
Did
it.
You say he? Wait, did you say he? She? You said he? She?
Wow.
If I did, I didn't mean to. Sorry, Dane. Sorry.
So good.
Anyway, okay. But I think a better name for you instead of the shower god.
I like the devil's advocate, by the way, as well. That's dope.
How about Bathhouse Buddha?
No.
No? You don't think it got a nice ring to it?
Nah,
I kind of like it.
I like the devil's advocate better.
I want you to say,
you know what? It's kind of growing on me. The Bathhouse Buddha. I kind of like it.
Bathhouse Buddha, son. That like vision right there. Tell me.
Like in a bathrobe. I'm like picturing the logo. Like, you know, the bathrobe and the steam room. You know, I kind of like that.
Do you know what happens in bathhouses?
I've never been to one. No.
Maybe you should go into one before you start calling yourself that.
We'll get all kind of like subscriptions. But
I guess we don't really.
For the Bathhouse Buddha.
Bathhouses aren't really a thing here in this country, but I know overseas it's a little bit more prevalent. So drop it on us. What the fuck goes on in a bathhouse?
Guy on guy action.
Oh.
Just don't do it, Patricia. Just stop.
I think that's what he's calling you. That's what I thought.
No, you see that.
Interesting.
I was expecting Damian to be like, get the fuck out of here, so I don't know. Anyway, devil's advocate, but that's the shower god.
Yeah, I think we're gonna stick with the shower god. That bathhouse ain't for me. So what's new with you guys? It's been a whole week. Nothing new. Same old same. Jules hitting the gym. Patricia is. Go ahead.
We're starting our winter break.
Kids out of school, home all day.
2 weeks, yes.
Jeez.
All day.
Bet you can't wait for the 2 weeks to be over,
huh? Yes. That's why I had a good night last night. Maybe I'll forget things.
Well, nothing much here. Yeah, went to the movies last week. Been going to the gym, been working, just normal life, man.
That's what's up. I haven't been to the movies, and I can't. Oh well, we went to the movies Christmas. Guess that wasn't that long ago.
You saw Avatar?
Yeah, for Christmas. I forgot.
And Top Gun before that. So you've been, right?
Yeah. What was that? October? Top Gun came out? Somewhere around there?
Anyway. Yeah, somewhere around there. November, October, or something like that.
So in the last half a year, I've been twice. Used to go like twice a month.
I can't remember the last time I went to the movies. I don't know what was the last movie I saw.
It's people like you that are fucking up the film industry. Go support the movies, man. What's going on?
I watch TV.
TV is trash. Anyway, We'll talk about that.
Julian
shit
has
later.
this whole theory that TV is basically the antichrist to movies.
It is. It is. This society is getting dumber and dumber by the day. We downgrade everything and then we charge more for it. Like, that's all it is. TV shows are B-level films at best, with a lot of fluff and a lot of shitty cliffhangers where stupid fucking sheeps tune in and like, oh, next week, I can't wait. Nah, fuck TV shows. I'm not into. There's a few of them that I love, but they're top quality. You know, Sopranos, Breaking
Oh, I love
Bad.
that show. I love that show.
Yeah, so, you know, but all this other shit that I be seeing, it's B grade. B grade.
So since The Sopranos or Breaking Bad, there's not been another TV show of that caliber.
Not even close to The Sopranos or Breaking Bad. Not even close. They've tried. Game of Thrones, yes. But HBO kind of hits it. You know, The Wire, The Sopranos.
Okay, because I was gonna say you didn't even mention The Wire. That's doesn't get much better than that.
The Sopranos is the greatest TV show ever made.
That's cool.
That's a fact.
I don't think so. I don't think it's a fact, but
I
was cool with letting you feel how you feel.
It's a fact.
This guy.
It was a good show with a horrible ending.
The ending was fantastic. You got to really understand
what that
show did.
How many seasons did Sopranos last?
7. It was 6, but 6 was 2, so it's 7 seasons technically.
Why didn't it last longer?
Because the story finished.
You mean the story finished?
They were. Have you ever even watched it?
I have
2 decades ago.
It's
okay.
Like
so
they
we
finished
literally
when they were like on their prime. Like, it should have not finished. Everybody was really into it.
No, they finished because the actors wanted to do other stuff. The writer wanted to do other stuff. Like, that was it. It was enough. We watched the character of Meadow and AJ literally grow up from kids to grown adults in that show. So I don't know how many years you have to keep a show going. Like,
I don't know. I mean, because
ran its course.
There's TV shows that have been around for 20 years. So
Grey's Anatomy.
You know, makes you how do you say it's the greatest? You know, then live the longest life. It was up there. Not a lot of TV shows don't make it to 8 seasons. So, I mean,
it is world renowned as the greatest TV show ever made. Look it up. Type up right now, the greatest TV show ever made, and tell me The Sopranos isn't rolling up in that shit.
I'm gonna look it up.
Look it up.
Because I think Friends or Seinfeld would beat Sopranos.
What? Sitcoms? We're not talking about sitcoms.
I'm telling you.
And Friends was a ripoff of Living Single. So fuck Friends. It's Living Single with white people. Y'all getting me pissed off. Like,
you want to know what the first show that came up on my phone was? I googled greatest TV shows ever made. That's what you said, right?
What, Arrested Development?
No, that's the second one.
What?
The Wire.
That's funny. Mine came up. The Sopranos. Empire. Yeah. But if you look up any top lists, so let's see, like
ER,
like go to Rolling Stone. Rolling Stone has The Sopranos as number 1.
Listen,
why fuck Rolling Stone?
They have their opinions are invalid. They're outdated.
Give me an opinion that's valid.
Hold on, guys. I have here the 100 greatest TV shows of all time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It comes on the 8th. The first one is Seinfeld, The Simpsons, Twilight Zone, Mad Men. I love that show. Mad Men was good.
It's too broad. if you're saying shows that came out on TV, that's too broad of a thing. I can say The Price is Right. Then I could whatever drama, adult shows, like real shows, not like sitcoms and not like cartoons. Like if we're talking real shows, what the trend is now, what they're trying to do now, everyone's trying to copy off of The Sopranos.
Well, it was definitely a great show and successful. I don't think that makes it the greatest.
It's the greatest, man.
I mean, I'm sure you.
I mean, that's what he likes. Yeah.
And a million people feel that way.
Never mind. I can't with you, bro.
Yeah, I love The Sopranos. I need to I need to watch this The Wire. I don't even know what it's about.
Oh man,
I've analyzed The Sopranos to a ridiculous degree
because you enjoy it so much.
Yeah.
No, not because I don't inherently enjoy it. It's because it's the greatest.
So
because
you only
only
enjoy the greatest things. You're
I'm too old now to waste my time with bullshit.
What?
Like you people, like I hear
how
like
do you
this shit.
okay?
Like,
how do you find a new show? How did you find The Sopranos? What made you start watching that show?
So, first of all, they weren't doing shows like that until The Sopranos. There was Oz, The Wire, and The Sopranos. That was the three that started this whole trend that we're currently on right now.
You know what show I also like? Nurse Jackie, which The Sopranos
which Edie Falco is in both.
That was good. That was very good.
Yeah.
I love that show actually.
I'm not saying that every show out there is shit. What I am saying is that the majority of them, there's a lot of trash out there.
Oh God! If that was the statement, 1,000%, I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree too.
Yeah, but it's destroying the film industry.
There's a lot of trashy movies.
It's destroying the film industry.
That's
the trashy movies are.
Man, so Girls Gone Wild, the police edition. Have you guys heard about this shit? I can't imagine either one of you would say no, you haven't heard of this, but this shit's crazy. It's like a TV show.
I'm waiting for just one of you to. Why don't we do this, Daym? Why don't you give us a scoop before we comment? What's going on here with this?
So, 6 officers have been fired and 3 more have been suspended without pay. At least 5 of the male officers had sex with a female officer, both on and off the job. And that's why they all got fired.
On and off the job, huh?
Listen, don't fire police officers because they're having sex at work. Fire police officers because they're killing unarmed people.
Damn. Okay. I didn't know we were gonna go there. Valid. Yes.
I mean, if I was the police captain, I would encourage it. It releases endorphins, and you go into the,
This was like a little old. This is like a little town. This was literally half of the police force was involved in this sexcapade.
I'm not mad at it.
I think that it's problematic because we're talking about people who are married.
Pretty much all of them. Some of them, the wife was involved.
The problem with sex at the workplace, I think it's pretty obvious, but even more so with police, they are pillars of the community. They have guns. you don't want some sort of relationship issues and stuff going back and forth, among police officers. They should be professional. It shouldn't be getting into that. I totally discourage it. If a cop was running around and he was having sex with a bunch of strippers, I wouldn't care, but not with your fellow officers. Like, stop. And don't do it on the job. Like, what are we talking about here?
Well, they weren't even fired for having sex on the job.
How? Any
it's not a
job you've
crime.
ever any job you've ever had in your
Well,
life, could
I
you
guess
just be like, hey, I'm gonna have sex with my coworker right here at the desk? Like, no,
No.
like,
No, but that's not what they were fired for.
no, I'm just saying it's
It's
unacceptable.
crazy, right?
They were fired for what?
Sexual harassment, because they were
Right.
sending nude pictures back and forth to each other at work. And
You see, this is where common sense, and we're going to talk about common sense is going to be a theme in this damn episode. Common sense is lost. Does that make sense to any of you?
well, that's always been a saying, common sense is not common.
wait a minute. You're saying it's common sense not to what's common sense?
No.
Because
What I'm saying, they're lacking common sense, because the obvious thing would be to fire them or reprimand them or whatever
okay.
for having sex on the job. But no, they took the angle. No, you're fired not because you had sex on the job. It's because, Officer so and so here sent a dick pic to whatever. Like, that makes no sense. Apparently, they were willingly sending images back and forth, right?
Yes, it was all.
So technically, that it doesn't even fall under the word harassment. That's not even in the realm of harassment.
Well, but you cannot do things like that on the clock at work.
So
Then
you can fuck someone on the job, but you can't send them a video of you fucking them on the job.
Precisely.
Awesome.
I mean, if that's the case, 80% of the people that work from home should be fired then.
Strange little twist. She keeps coming up with them.
80%?
Maybe 90%.
Patricia, I don't know where you come from, but I've never done that with a coworker. I don't know. Maybe I'm just some prude little boy somewhere. I don't get it.
I think she was just saying that they were having sex at home on the clock.
Or getting inappropriate pictures and
on the clock.
Yeah, having these text messages, DMing people on Instagram while you're working. I'm sure it's happening.
But okay, so if you were running a business or police station or whatever, what would be more egregious? Your cops having sex with one another, or your cops sending pictures of sexual acts to one another? Patricia's like, it's fair game.
Hey,
I don't see the problem with either one.
If I don't see it, I don't see it.
Oh boy.
Yo, this whole time, her husband is like, knows this shit's going on. Comes out, he says he plays apparently like he's okay with it and stays with her, but supposedly behind the scenes he was upset. He was in the middle of training for a park ranger. He quit that right before this shit hit the news, and out of sympathy, a neighboring county gave him a job as a deputy.
What town was this?
Some small town in Tennessee.
Oh, well, you should have started from there. They're probably everybody has sex over there with each other.
Should have started from there. We would have just been like, "Oh, okay, we get it."
Now it all makes sense.
Next story. Yeah, move on. No more comments.
I'm sure there were cousins too. No offense to the people from Tennessee.
Wow, Patricia, man, you are on fire today. Listen, I know I say a lot of sexual jokes on here, but generally speaking, I'm a very conservative person when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Me too.
So this stuff just it drives me nuts to even think that this could be a thing. I'm about like, you got to be professional at work, especially in a position like that. That's crazy, but it's a funny story. And the fact that the husband, his wife is now the most famous police officer probably in the United States, and he's just like, yeah, it was good. I'm sticking with her.
Yeah, it's inappropriate behavior, especially if you're at work, but it happens all the time. So just be careful. If you're going to be doing it at work with your coworker, just don't get caught.
Yeah, according to a few of the other officers that she was with, she was telling them that she was in an open relationship. It just so happens her husband didn't know she was.
Right. So that's
But
not
she
really an
was.
open relationship. Yeah.
But she was.
Yeah, that's what she was telling the guys. So
It's just like that couple from what was it, ABC? The host, the man, the white girl,
yeah,
and the black guy,
they
and they're
both were
like off
having
TV.
affairs. Yeah,
Mm.
and now they're
So Daym, what do
together,
you think
happy.
about this?
What did he ask?
What do I think about it? I just thought
Yeah, yeah.
I just thought it was a very entertaining story, and all of the memes that came with it. The shit was hilarious.
I totally agree. But if like, are you on board with what Patricia's saying, or are
What
different
am I
opinion
saying?
from mine?
I don't think
You're
they should have
just
been fired.
okay. So you kind of are on board with what she's saying. Like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean because everything was consensual. Like no one, you know what I'm saying? Like
You don't think that poses a risk at the workplace?
no, I really don't.
I mean, I kind of
Wow.
do.
If a
Wow.
report comes out that says there was a 911 call and no one responded because these two were off in the fucking closet somewhere, then I would have a problem.
So
1000%.
so if they're going at it and they get a 911 call and they just zip up and run out to the call, you're fine with it. So
You're
in
saving
between
face.
every little call, they just let's do it, and then you're fine with it.
I think that this happens at many work sites across the
Yes.
world.
You both keep saying that. That doesn't make it right. That doesn't make it right. That's like saying, oh,
I
I'm going to
mean, well,
charge this
why
person
not?
for murder, and then somebody says, well, people are getting murdered every day.
No,
Like, what are you saying?
murder, and consensual sex are not equivalent. So
So
it's another one of your
if you were
horrible
in a
analogies.
position, if you were in a position of authority, right? You're in a position
That's
of authority,
different.
and
That's
no.
different.
Listen, you're not letting me finish. If you're in a position of authority, and these are your employees,
Yes.
you're just gonna be fine with it. You're just gonna be like, hey, you know what? Just have at it.
No, I did not say that they don't deserve to be reprimanded. I said I don't believe they deserve to get fired.
So
Well,
would you
there's a
have fired
sexual
them or not?
harassment. There's a sexual harassment complaint. So that's a whole. I mean, I
No, no, no,
understand
no.
what you're saying.
There's no sexual harassment complaint. No one
Oh, I thought you
complained.
said.
No.
No, that was the reasoning for being fired, was because in their investigation they came across these pictures that were being sent during the
Oh,
hours of employment, which
I see.
qualifies as sexual harassment.
Then a lot of people would be fired for sexual harassment.
So again, my question is: if both of you were the whatever, whoever is in charge of that whole situation,
the chief of the sheriff.
If you were chief of the sheriff, right? I don't know if it was them who made the decision, whatever. If that was your position, Damian, and it was up to you, you wouldn't fire them.
Again, if there was an instance where someone's life was endangered because the police didn't respond
Or
in
if it's
time,
conflicting with your work.
It is conflicting with your work, and somebody.
No, we don't know
whether
that.
there was.
This is it's a small town.
Damian.
It's not like they're getting a bunch of calls 24/7.
Okay, so if two people are fucking at a McDonald's, as long as they just make sure that somebody gets the orders, everything is fine. Like that wouldn't pan out correctly anywhere. You don't have sex during your work.
But people waste time all the time at work, especially people that work from home.
Listen,
oh my God, I didn't know I was talking to two morally corrupt sexual deviants.
What? No, you're only talking to one of them.
And he's talking right now.
The shower god, right?
What I'm saying is that I don't believe this was a fireable offense. That's all I'm saying.
I will tell you, Daym, the next time Patricia and I have any kind of weird sexual joke, I don't want to see you blush. I don't want to see you play Mr. Innocent, because you, boy, you got some hardcore beliefs there.
Hardcore.
So you're saying you've never had sex at work?
Clearly.
Let me think. I work from home.
You had to think about it.
No.
He works from home. He works from home.
Wait a
Proving my
minute.
whole point.
Wait a minute.
You work from home today. I'm talking like ever.
No. I mean, let me clarify this. So I'm really trying to think about it. I would have to say no. No, I never have. I don't recall ever doing that while I'm at work.
Oh.
Not even getting a text message, sending an appropriate text message.
See that? I don't think anybody should get fired for. Text messages, I don't care.
Oh, now we're changing the tune of the story.
Well, no. If it was consensual and both parties were fine with the messages, I don't care.
But that's why they got fired for the text.
They shouldn't,
messages.
right? They shouldn't have got fired.
He's
for
saying
that.
they shouldn't have gotten fired for that. They should have got fired for having sex.
Oh, okay.
Right. They got it backwards.
I mean, did they get a warning at least? I mean,
that's what I'm saying. I mean, can you give a brother a warning or something?
Guys, they're police officers, pillars of the community.
Who holds them on that pedestal anymore?
We have to.
Me.
They just why? No, they got to live up to that shit to have to be put on that pedestal. In the meantime, they're clocking in just like everybody else.
So let me ask you. So okay, so this girl, she's having sex with these officers.
Yes,
and they're all having fun with her or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say she's a bad cop. You don't think that could be a potential conflict of interest, that they're just going to ignore her bad behavior because she's, waxing their dick every day?
No, that has nothing to do with it. They could just be really good friends. They always protect each other anyway.
So people who have sex don't tend to favor one another. Like that never happens, right?
Oh, it probably does happen. Just like, but what
People
also happens is that
with best friends,
they coworkers protect each other because
guys, there's a reason
become in danger.
There's a reason why when you work at a place, they usually frown upon family members, husband and wife.
Fraternization.
Like they usually frown upon that because there's a history of shit being problematic when you start involving sex and relationships into business.
But to answer your question, how many times have you, like, even in your work, how many times have you had a supervisor protecting and covering for a coworker because they were really good friends? Nothing intimate, just it happens.
It's horrible. It shouldn't exist. It shouldn't exist.
It's human nature. We're not robots.
It is, and that's why there should be checks and balances. There should have just been a warning. And you know what?
Even if maybe a suspension, maybe some sort of financial penalty, something. You don't just come out there.
They're not professional. They do not deserve to have those positions. Period.
So if they were janitors, janitors.
I wasn't even worthy of being a grocery store cashier, huh?
Oh.
You said it, Daym. I don't know. So what supermarket was that? You were
my very first job. No, it was Goodings supermarket.
Too bad it wasn't Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Publix wasn't even really a thing back then. At that point, Goodings was the shit.
No, I can't co-sign with that. But anyway,
yeah, whatever. I mean,
that's wild to me.
Didn't stop there. I don't know.
What?
I don't know what you're talking about. You lost me there.
Well, actually, I have a question, Damian, because you have your own business. Would you have a problem if you find out that your employees are doing it instead of doing the pool?
I wouldn't. I wouldn't. Again, it depends on what's attached to that. Like if they were doing it at a customer's house, if they were seen, did something happen because of it? That would determine.
You're paying them by the hour, and somewhere in between those hours,
and I would take my money back for sure.
Okay.
So you condone it, just not at your
I'm not
workplace.
condoning it. I'm just saying right out the gate, you shouldn't be fired for it as long as everything was consensual and it didn't cause any other actions to occur. Then I wouldn't fire you out the gate. I would certainly take my money back.
So it's better to be reactive than proactive, is what you're saying.
No, like everywhere I've ever worked, it's always been kind of a 3-strike kind of thing. Like you do something, we have a discussion about it. There's some training done. If you do it again, it's like, hey, your final warning, buddy. Like, and then the third time is like, you're fucking out of here.
Daym, think about what you just said, right? So
I said,
what are you going to do? No sex training? What training are you going to do to stop them from having sex? Or what verbal warning are you going to give them? Listen, Carol, John, you guys got to stop fucking on the clock. Yeah. Now we're going to go through this training course.
I'm sure this conversation has happened many times.
Something like that.
It's not how that would go. Let's get the fuck out of here.
No, I don't think so.
I think it depends on who it is and who caught you.
As a taxpayer, I don't want to know that police officers are having sex when they should be either proactively patrolling the streets and doing what they need to do, not just waiting on a fucking call.
Oh, some of the occasions they were patrolling the streets.
So what is she giving somebody head while they're driving?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Still, that's unacceptable. Because you know what? If they saw a couple doing that, they would arrest them.
Absolutely.
So, they should be held to the same standard.
I'm not saying they shouldn't, bro.
They should be arrested, not just fired, but arrested.
You might be on something there.
Patricia?
Arrested for what?
Little public indecency never hurt anyone.
Anyway.
Well, from one sex deviant to another.
Not gonna make it. All right.
Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan were arrested and detained on charges of human trafficking, rape, and forming an organized crime group.
Andrew Tate.
He's worthy of that name, yes.
I'm almost scared to hear your takes on this, guys, after this last one.
I don't know if there's really a take to have. I mean, honestly.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with who he is, what he's all about?
This horrible just some of the stuff that he says about women and some of his viewpoints. He's basically like a spokesperson for incels, and
he's a right-wing misogynist.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he is. But
so quick thing. So my daughter had told me about him a long time ago. She despises him, but a close friend of hers worships the things that this guy says, and it's caused major friction in their friendship.
Is her friend a woman, a man?
It's a male.
Oh.
Yeah. So
I don't even know how you can agree with anything that he says. I mean, everything. He's just a disgusting person. And wasn't he saying how he loves rape as well, or like that rape culture?
He told in an interview woman that he told a woman that he raped. I loved raping you on the phone, and it was recorded.
Yeah, I just don't know how anyone can get behind him.
And then he was bragging. He brags about it. He's real brash or whatever, but he's still in prison now, right? Like he hasn't been able to get out.
They extended his hold from a 24-hour hold to a 30-day hold. So it's been appealed and denied. So it looks like they'll be in for at least 30 days, and they'll probably bond out and be out here doing again. He there's clips of him bragging about as a 21-year-old picking up a high school girl, a 16-year-old.
So, and what is he getting charged with? Like what is it?
Human trafficking, rape, and forming an organized crime group.
I hope he's in jail for a long time.
I don't really know what the organized crime group is attached to, but he has this thing called Hustlers University, where these guys pay for him to teach them like how to invest in freelancing, crypto, and basically how to approach and treat women.
Huh. And I love how he all of a sudden became Muslim, like from one day to another.
He did?
Yes.
I didn't hear that.
Oh, he claims.
Yeah, that's
a
wild claim. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't, Julian, I don't know what kind of take there really is to have here with this one. This guy is a bona fide piece of shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me guess, he's a Trump supporter?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I was just joking.
No, it's true.
Why are so many of these people right wingers and Trump supporters? It's a rhetorical question, but it's just it amazes me how many of them fall in line with that. They fall in line with that kind of shit, that kind of rhetoric.
He told this same girl, the girl that he raped and said, "I loved raping you." He told her, "Monsters are monsters. When you're under my control, I do what I please."
I hope he goes to jail, and I hope some big burly dude says the same thing to him.
He told her.
I hope.
I heard another audio clip where he was like, "Oh, you mad because I choked you a little bit? Like I didn't kill you. Like get over it." This guy is fucking sick, bro. And thousands of people are paying for him to spew this shit to them.
Yep.
And that's a scary thing. And young men too.
Younger, yeah, usually earlier.
A lot of young.
He's young. He's in his mid-20s, I think.
Are you serious? He looks older than that. I thought he was like in his 40s.
No.
I know that he has a very young following, and
he's an influencer,
and that's scary.
Yeah, and then they banned him. He's banned. He's been banned from every social network because of his influence.
My thing is, how did he even get this far? Where the regulations?
Do you remember
with these companies, TikTok, and like how the hell does someone like that be allowed to get a large enough platform for where his name is even out there? Bullshit freedom of speech.
Because a lot of that's what I was gonna say. Freedom of speech.
Do you remember Kevin Samuels?
Yes.
He's often compared to Kevin Samuels because he had a particular view about the relationship between men and women, and he was looked at as a misogynist. Now, obviously, Tate takes this shit to a whole new level, but Kevin Samuels passed away, and then Tate came in and kind of filled that void because he's talking along the lines of the same shit. So people liked it and just flocked to him, and he capitalized on it.
Yeah. That Kevin Samuels guy was an idiot too, but at least he wasn't saying like about the rape culture and stuff like that. But that's why he died alone. Nobody found his ass until like the next day.
Wow. Yeah. So that's
I'm interested to see what he's gonna get, how long he's gonna get in jail, in prison, and I hope they tear his taint.
Yikes.
Yeah, that shit infuriates me. I don't even have much to say about it.
I have a friend on social media, and she has a son, and he's very misogynistic, and obviously he would share a lot of the Andrew Tate shit. And of course, he's a Republican. He's very far right. And it was interesting because he got his girlfriend pregnant and then he proposed to her. And I was always wondering, I'm like, there's supposed to be like ultra religious people. So that already set off alarms for me. But it's so funny because he had a boy and the baby is like, I don't know, 4 months or whatever. So he's no longer with his girlfriend and he trashes her online. I mean, I'm like, who cannot see this coming? Just by you sharing anything from Andrew Tate would have been enough. And on top of that, he shares about Trump. I don't know. It's scary. It's scary.
She got pregnant, they got married, and before the baby was 4 months, they got divorced.
No, they never got married.
They just got
they
engaged.
got engaged.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But I'm thinking like, and I used to follow her page as well, and she seems like a, normal girl, very independent, this and that. And I'm like, what does she see in him? I mean, just what does she see in him? Obviously, she saw something because they broke up. But it's scary to see how many young men follow him and take what he says as gospel. They should be going to the movie theaters instead of listening to him.
It was a great callback to something that anybody watching is not even going to see. But that was great.
They should, Patricia. They absolutely should.
We're losing our youth because we're not going to the theater.
And because people are busy streaming Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
We finally agree.
High five, guys. High five.
I thought he was going to go like this.
I thought about it. Anyway.
So, fucking boy DeSantis is back at it again. Blocked the College Board from testing a pilot advanced placement African American studies curriculum because it's against the critical race theory law, which is some other bullshit. But yeah, so no, we're not teaching anybody about African American history in Florida.
Are you surprised?
No.
Okay.
What surprises me is that we keep allowing these people to chip away at our rights, civil rights, women's rights.
I mean, that surprises you?
What surprises me that everyone is just kind of sitting back and just be like, "Oh, that's terrible," and it does surprise me.
What surprises me is that it's even newsworthy. Like, I guess some people are very upset about it, but when it comes time to vote, where's the uproar? Go and vote these people out.
Yep.
So if we're losing these things, it's our own fault.
Yes. That's why I asked Julian it's not surprising to me because we don't get up and vote.
I mean, but I always say that. But again, just to drive the point home, it doesn't surprise me that people don't get out there and vote. And this is why we have people like DeSantis. What surprises me is that there is an initial outrage and then people never want to do anything about it. Right. People treat this like news cycles. They really treat it like what's trending and what's not. It's almost like we're removing ourselves from the story. Oh, that's terrible. That's crazy. And that's the extent of it. But if you're a person of color, that's kind of devastating.
But what can we do? There's nothing to do.
I don't know if that's true, if there's nothing to do.
The entire Florida state legislator body of legislation is all his team. No one's stopping any of this shit.
I'm talking about people. I'm talking about protesting. I'm talking about teachers. I'm talking about
they've made that shit damn near illegal in Florida too.
Daym, It's the same thing I make about every other industry out there. People have to be willing to sacrifice and step away and just say, no, I'm not sending my child to that school, or the teacher, I'm not teaching that. If I can't teach this, I'm not teaching.
I think
It has to come. People don't understand this, but in other countries, other free nations or whatever, and the United States, there's been a history when the people say, no, this isn't going to go down. Doesn't matter what laws the government tries to come up with. Once it's not like they're going to send the military out and force people to work in the schools or go to schools. There has to be some sort of real fighting.
Yes, but what?
And of course, voting.
But if we can't even get people to vote, then what you're saying is not even on the table.
I didn't say it was. I'm not saying anything that I'm suggesting is even remotely possible in this day and age because of the way people are. I'm saying it's fucked up that this is where we're at, that people just accept it. I'm not making the argument that, oh, it's that simple, we should do it. It's impossible because nobody is willing to.
To me, it's so disheartening because these things that are happening to us shouldn't happen to us. And it's not like you're supposed to go out there and work hard for this not to happen. All you have to do is vote the right people in. We're enough. We're enough to stop this. There's a lot of Hispanic people. There's a lot of Black people. There's a lot of, people of color. But I just don't understand, especially in Florida, I just don't understand why it's so hard to just go and vote. It doesn't cost anything.
But your time.
Actually, it does cost something. It costs stuff like this.
I mean, people have full-time jobs. They have their kids. They have their TV shows they have to binge. And they just don't have time to get out there and do anything about anything.
Can you mail in your vote?
Yes.
Well, we know Republicans are fighting against that as well. So,
but it's still something that you can do.
It's just something. What we have to notice as a society is that as we're sitting here bickering about stupid shit, they're chipping away, and they're taking the rights away from everyone. Essentially, there isn't a group that isn't affected by the abortion, overturning that, Roe v. Wade. There isn't a person of color or even Caucasian people who won't be affected by this as well. It's just slowly, bit by bit by bit. And we're going to wake up one day and we're not going to have any rights. And people are just going to accept it.
They're not going to see it coming because they believe that it can never happen to Americans.
Well, I think people just generally feel like that's their position. I don't agree with it, but that's their position. And, maybe, he has a point. Maybe they are, shaming and guilting white people. And you hear this kind of stuff all the time. Even when the media presents it, a lot of times they present it like this, they're in a neutral ground and this is, two bickering from two different sides. And it's not really what it is.
It goes back to we just had Martin Luther King, right? The day, and you see his documentaries, you see everything, all the effort, sweat, blood, and tears that was put into back in the day to get to the position that we are in now, that we can vote people in, we can do this, we can do that, and nobody does anything.
Is it a coincidence that this happens right around MLK? Just saying.
Could be. But like I said, it's our own fault. It's our own fault. So not one person of color that doesn't go out there and vote can say anything about Ron DeSantis, because you're not part of the solution. You're part of the problem.
What's the most frustrating thing about it all is the reason given was that it lacked educational value.
That's how they truly feel. That's how the racists truly feel.
I wonder if they could survive a day without the things that Black people invented. And then tell me that it lacks educational value.
Daym, they don't recognize
exactly
or
what I
care.
was going to say.
Right.
They will take anything and claim it as theirs and move forward without losing sleep over it. They don't care.
I've heard white supremacists talk about that very thing and say that the only reason why Black people and people of color even invented anything is because a white man has allowed them to. I've actually heard them spew that kind of shit.
And believe it.
And this is why, like, it enrages me that people of color and white people who are good people can sit back and just hear this shit and just be all right with it. That's why when I make that claim that all Republicans are racist, if you're a Republican out there and you vehemently disagree with this, then what the fuck are you doing voting for these people? Well, you know what?
What's interesting is that they removed this out of the curriculum, but they were losing their shit about statues.
Right. Exactly. That's a great point.
They don't want
Confederate
to erase
monuments.
They don't want to erase history, but they don't want to teach, certain history. And history that makes him look bad.
And it's also not a coincidence, again, that Confederate flag here in Tampa is still waving near MLK. It's not a coincidence. This is what this is in Florida. It's
you
not
mean
a
the
coincidence.
One by the interstate?
Yeah. I got, normally we do this segment, right? So, Daym, I got this in honor of Tribe Called Quest. I got the Low End Theory shirt. So I got something to say about, this whole thing. So can I kick it?
Yes, you can.
I don't have a rant. I just want to say Ron DeSantis is a piece of shit. That's it.
Co-signed.
Oh, I co-signed that.
All right.
Ron shitness.
This shit bag.
Ron DeSantis. The shitness.
What was Trump's?
You'll get it right.
What was Trump's name from? DeSantimony.
DeSantimonious. Ron Satan.
Speaking of which, he's on TV crying today about his investigation.
It's funny, like I don't even like watch any like news segments with him anymore. Like I just read the blurbs and I don't even care.
I didn't even know he was on the news.
I had TV on, it just came on. Yeah, he's all up in arms that the investigator that they put on him, according to Trump, is like a real dog, like sniffing and digging and everything. And the investigator that Biden got is, just like counting the birds in the sky and shit like that. So he's not happy that he's being looked into.
I mean, when is he ever happy?
Fuck that guy too. I hope neither one of them end up in the White House. How about that? You got a problem with it? Catch me outside. Speaking of the White House, Golden State Warriors just took a visit to the White House.
Yes, it did.
I'm surprised Trump is not crying about that.
I was surprised he didn't have something to say.
I'm sure Melania has heard of.
Well, Biden had something to say. Biden was like, the Warriors are invited to this White House or something like that. They're always welcome to this White House.
Good for him.
So it's, for me, it's really good. Not only because I'm a, Golden State Warrior fan, a Steph Curry fan, but it was good to see it considering that, they protested going to the White House while Trump was president and they won, and they were able to get back to the White House without him being there. To me, symbolically, that's really powerful, and I'm glad that it happened.
Yeah, it's a good symbol. Simultaneously, Steve Kerr had something interesting to say about Steph Curry. He likened him.
It definitely made the waves last week.
Likened him to Jordan, and says, he has the signs of greatness.
I don't know why people are so like upset over that. Like there are people who are really upset over it. So first of all, when people think about Michael Jordan, right? We're talking about somebody who was playing in the 90s. So
Right.
he's built a legacy over the years. So people are thinking of the brand Michael Jordan now and then trying to compare Steph Curry to that. That's not what Steve Kerr is saying.
Right.
Steve Kerr essentially is saying when Michael Jordan was playing, the reaction from the fans and the way he was looked upon is there's parallels there. Who would know better? I mean, Steve Kerr not only played with MJ,
Right.
but he's coaching Steph Curry. So he sees it. I don't
He's
know
a
what the controversy is. I don't know why people are having issues with it, but it's
prob-
pretty factual to me.
probably a lot of those people are LeBron stans. Um, but even there's other evidence that kind of supports that. Once again, Curry beats LeBron in jersey sales. So,
Yep.
I mean, if that's not an indicator, I don't know what is.
I heard somebody make the argument, well, LeBron gets more votes in the All-Star game, but the thing is that he doesn't have the competition. So, LeBron, what other person in his position on in the West Coast is prominent? Where Steph Curry, he's going up against Luka and
Right.
Ja Morant.
All the
So the
stars are
vote is
guards.
split
Yeah.
more.
Right.
Yeah. So, like it's just absurd. And, of course, people gonna be like, well, LeBron is he's more of an icon or whatever. It's just like, again, they're missing the point. And you're right. I think it has a lot to do with just major fans of LeBron James not accepting anything positive about Steph Curry.
I think people think it also means that this equates him to being like one of the greatest players or the greatest players. And I don't think that necessarily makes that statement, but I think that's where people have a problem because then it starts skipping players like LeBron and some people just can't get with them.
And in my mind, I think he's better than LeBron.
I think, yeah, I think I think he has better basketball skills than LeBron does. But more than that, he's changed the game. LeBron didn't change the game. He was probably one of the greatest athletes to play the game, but the whole style of the game has completely changed due to Steph Curry, the way it's coached. I mean, and this is already down through colleges and high schools and fucking the little kids YMCA league. Like he has impacted the game at every level of the game that no one has done since Jordan.
Yeah,
So
and I don't know what's not to like about the guy. The stuff he does on the court is amazing. For his size at 6'3",
right.
to be able to do the stuff that he does compared to, I mean, LeBron is a monster, right? Like he's just so strong and powerful and fast and an incredible athlete. And Steph Curry is in his own right, but in a different way. It's stamina, it's finesse, it's hand-eye coordination. So we should be able to appreciate both. Maybe you can value one more than the other, but to just dismiss him because he's not 6'7", 6'7" trained running through the lane, I just think it's crazy.
Yeah, I don't.
And he's a great role model.
Yeah, he's great off and on the court. Now, I will say I'm not the biggest LeBron fan on the court at all. But off the court, I'm a huge LeBron fan.
So am I.
Um,
Some of his statements, basketball statements are a little, but he's
and
also a really great role model.
you know what? And I think I think a lot of his basketball related statements often aren't true. But I think because of who he is, he kind of feels like he has to.
He understands social media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
He understands social media. So,
but
yeah,
just
LeBron is another one.
as far as the things and activities and what he stands for as a man, solid, 100%.
A friend of mine, and I hope you're watching, bro. He gets mad at me because I say I don't hate LeBron. I way more prefer Steph Curry, but he gets pissed off at me because I won't say that I hate LeBron. I hate a lot of shit LeBron does in the court or whatever, but he's like, no, you have to be like I have to be like either totally against him or totally for him. There's no like in between there whatsoever because he hates Steph Curry.
So he wants you to be the LeBron hater, so he feels equal.
Right. So because I think that Steph Curry is, I'm more impressed with Steph Curry or whatever. And I make a lot of points that he don't like. But incidentally, I don't talk to him about basketball anymore because he can't be objective in any way. Everything is just, a certain way with him. But he also gets pissed off because he tries to send me these stupid messages about basketball. I just won't acknowledge him. But yeah, he wants. Yeah.
How dare?
I know.
How dare he be upset with being ignored? Jesus.
Oh yeah, I know that's a dick move, but I love you, bro. Still tight. We can talk about anything else. Just can't talk to you about basketball. He's got no basketball IQ. He's just a fan. You know what he says to me? He goes, "Oh, you love Steph Curry and his beige dick."
Oh,
that's what he says to me.
ew.
What? That's a really wild thing to say.
Yeah.
To reference the skin tone of one's. That's wild, bro.
I'm like, yo, did he hurt you one day? Or like, like what happened?
I think some light-skinned green-eyed guy took his girl.
That's what it. I'm telling you, I think
for
that's
him
what
to make a reference like that, like that's a little wild. Sorry for man.
There's a deep-rooted resentment there that I just don't understand.
Yeah, it's deeper than basketball, it sounds like. Yeah, nah, Steph is the real deal. Yeah, we'll probably.
He is in that GOAT conversation.
We'll
He's in the conversation. Like he's in the conversation. I think MJ is still top and top by a large margin, but if we're talking the top 5 to top 10, Steph is in that conversation, no doubt.
Yeah, I haven't given that much thought lately, and probably intentionally because that means I probably have to take someone out the top 10. But
that's hard to do.
I guess you got to start. You got to start thinking that way because the conversation's already being had now, and he's got many more years to go. So,
hey, Patricia, where do you rank Steph in your top 10?
I like him.
Okay, that's good enough for me.
I mean, I love Jordan. I mean, I grew up watching him. But I don't know. I don't follow basketball, but I know who he is. He has a beautiful family. He always seems very courteous in interviews. He seems to play well, and I just don't like LeBron. He seems like he's always crying about something.
Yeah, for him to be of that stature and play so like floppy is ridiculous. It's embarrassing.
Right. This big burly guy falling all over the floor.
And then crying.
He's huge and strong, and he bangs his chest when he dunks on a little point guard, and then somebody touches him and he's just
flopping on the floor. Yeah. Can you imagine like if Shaq did that? Like that's almost like it's almost that bad.
See, that's why it bothers me the MJ comparison, because you would never in your damn life see MJ or Kobe or Magic pull no shit like that.
No.
It's one thing.
Detroit beat the shit out of Jordan for 2 years straight. He said, all right, off seasons in the gym.
Yeah, and then when he got over that hump, the Knicks were beating his ass too that way, and he was still playing. And you know what? Steph Curry, for a small guy, you saw him in the finals a couple of years ago. He had blood stains all over his shirt. They wouldn't call a foul on him, but they were grabbing him, scratching him. Yeah, it's just like it's crazy. But I think LeBron, in fairness to LeBron, I think that's part of the tactics that a lot of players use, right? I mean, we saw it with Reggie Miller. We saw it with, James Harden knows how to draw fouls. And some people think that that's a great skill to be able to do that. But
I hate that.
I don't. I hate it. But yeah.
That's why I just can't fuck with James Harden. I can't.
Well, he ain't that guy no more. He
Not
ain't
well,
getting
yeah,
to the
but
line like that.
they changed the rule. They changed the rule to get rid of him.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah, he's not averaging 38 points a game now.
Yeah, because he's not getting to the free throw line 20 fucking times.
Yeah, that's the first stat that I always see. Anytime I see like somebody has a big game, I'm like, all right, how many free throws did they shoot?
Yeah.
You know, if you shot 20 free throws, I don't want to see you screaming because you score 50 points.
Right. By the way, did you guys peep my new hat? See that? West Brighton,
Staten Island. Shaolin.
That's right. Fucking hat.
All you needed was a Wu-Tang shirt. Killer Bees.
Yeah, but they come in like that, the bright gold. I needed to match the embroidery. You know what I'm saying, son? You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
He likes to be matchy.
You should check it out. It might have your hood on there. It's a website called hood.com. And you just type in where you're from, and they got all kind of hats pre-made. If they don't have your neighborhood, then you can make it custom. But since my neighborhood's so official, it was already there.
I'm not gonna say nothing about Staten Island, but only thing y'all got is Wu-Tang Clan. But
that's not true.
I know
that ain't true.
I know.
All right.
I don't know anything about Staten Island.
That's all right.
Isn't it like Jersey?
It's close to Jersey.
So I was waiting for Damian to lose his shit, but he was cool with it. All right.
Parts of it, yes, are like Jersey. The southern part of the state you could say is like parts of Jersey, but that ain't
typically
where I'm from,
us New Yorkers don't want to be affiliated with Jersey at all.
Yo, they got a better airport. Fuck that. Fuck what you heard. I fly to Newark, son. Hit the island in 15 minutes, as opposed to flying. Yeah,
I don't think I've ever flown into Newark.
Because you from the Bronx, so where you go? You
LaGuardia.
LaGuardia, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, the Newark is literally like 15 minutes from Staten Island. Alec Baldwin and the weapons handler to be charged with manslaughter. Involuntary manslaughter. Should they be charged?
No.
It's horseshit. No.
Well, wait. Not the actor, but the handler. Absolutely. It's his job to make sure. But not Alec Baldwin.
Alec Baldwin should not have any charges against him with this. It's absurd.
Actually, he should be suing and charging.
He did.
Oh, okay.
He did. There's he has a lawsuit against the armor because and somebody else they're supposed to protect the crew and the staff, and they didn't.
Can you give me a little bit of background to it? Did he point at her?
No.
Purposely? Did it?
He didn't point at her. I think it like ricocheted or something, like a bullet fragment or something hit her and killed her.
So then how is he being charged? Is he being a scapegoat? I don't understand.
He is being a scapegoat. Absolutely. I think the armor actually said, the person who was in charge of that said that he should be the only one that has charges pressed against him.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know.
I look at this from two different points of views. And in both views, I come to the same answer. And in my mind, there is no way that Alec Baldwin should not be charged.
It's absurd.
I don't understand.
Okay. So let's just go from the first point of view. He's the one that was handling a weapon. He is the one that pulled the trigger. Because there are
real quick, according to him, he didn't pull the trigger. It just went off. Just saying that. But get.
I mean, that would probably be your best defense. But that's what anybody should say.
I'm sorry to cut you off. I just want to understand something because I don't own a weapon. Is there a difference between aesthetically between a real bullet and a blank?
Yes. The aesthetically it wouldn't be obvious to someone watching a movie, but the blanks.
No.
I'm explaining.
Okay.
If you were to see it on camera, you wouldn't be able to notice the difference. Mm-hmm. But looking at it in person, there's a dimple in the top of the in the top of the round. So if you're looking at the round, you could identify it from other rounds. Also, it's hollow. So when you're using these rounds, they rattle around in the chamber, in the revolver. So it's another way to identify that it would be a blank or not a blank.
So are you saying that he should have looked and see if this was a real bullet or a blank? I don't know how you get to the conclusion that
and because in my opinion, if you're handling a gun, regardless of the staff that is employed and whoever's responsibility is to make sure they hand you a gun with dummy rounds in it, you're still the one holding the gun. And you still should be checking to make sure that this shit is done right because you're the one that has to pull that trigger.
So just responding to some of the things you said here. So first of all, and based on Patricia's questions too, I don't know if Alec Baldwin ever handles a real gun with real bullets or whatever. So you're talking from a perspective of someone who is in the military, someone who owns a gun, someone who understands what the precautions are to have a gun. But as an actor coming in there, they have those people, those props people who, and from what I understand, they give them the gun and they say code gun. That's what they say, code gun.
Cold.
They give it what?
Cold, COLD.
That's what I said, cold.
Oh, it sounded like code, CODE. Yeah.
No,
gotcha.
Cold gun. They give him the gun and he does whatever he does on the screen. It's not his job. It's specifically their job to do that.
I agree.
I mean,
why should he be charged? He's already you're turning him into a victim because he's a victim of this charge. Like he's already dealing with the fact that this person is dead because he had the gun in his hand.
Because you are responsible for what you do.
He's not responsible. No, wait. He's not responsible.
He has some responsibility, yes.
He's not responsible for the gun or what's inside the gun. I mean, I probably would understand if this was like a low budget movie from like two idiots in Ybor City making a movie.
It is a low budget movie.
It was a lower budget film, yeah.
But what I'm saying is you're still professional. These are still trained professionals. You're not, if it's me and if I'm Alec Baldwin or, whoever it is, and if I'm doing a movie and I have been doing movies like all of my life and they give me a gun, I'm not even going to think, oh, let me make sure that these are not like real bullets. Pew, pew,
right. It's part of the prop department. It's like if they gave you a champagne glass.
It's not part of the prop. It's a completely different department, which is another issue that I'll get to once I get to my second point of view.
Okay. I'm not, I mean, okay, we could break it down to that level or whatever. All I'm saying is whoever was in charge of giving him the weapon, right?
They had a responsibility.
They had a responsibility, whatever you want to call them. If there was a props department, armorer, right? Let's say you see movies where they smash somebody in the head with a bottle, right? What is the actor supposed to make sure that it's not glass? Like, I mean, what are we talking about here? It's a film. He was acting. It was an accident.
It was an accident.
Right.
Of course it was an accident. That's why the charge is manslaughter.
It shouldn't be a charge. It shouldn't be a charge. It's inhumane to do that to him.
All right. So let me just give you a different story that's kind of along the same lines. A friend of Joanna's nephew, who I want to say was 18 at the time, was in a house hanging out with some friends, doing what teenagers do, nothing crazy, playing music, having a good time. One of the other kids at the party, or it wasn't even a party, it was just a get together, a few people in the house, had a gun. And the nephew was interested in the gun. The guy that owned the gun told him, it's not loaded, don't worry about it, whatever. So he's sitting there looking at the gun. Bang, it goes off. Bullet goes through a wall, strikes someone on the other side of the wall, and kills them. He got charged with manslaughter.
He should have.
This is not a controlled setting, like a movie setting.
But you're mixing a Hollywood protocol with real life laws.
He took a gun that he knew
was a gun.
It was a real gun and shot it. You cannot compare both.
I'll give you a better analogy than that to make my case. You ever heard of an actor named Michael Massey?
No.
So he wasn't a big actor, but he starred in a lot of films. If you saw his face, you'd probably recognize him. He always played like a little henchman or something. But he wasn't arrested or charged, and he killed Brandon Lee, Bruce Lee's son, on the set of The Crow. He's the one that did it.
Okay.
So, and that was a situation where he was actually aiming the gun and shooting it. It was an accident. They deemed it an accident. Why is the precedent changing now?
Well, I think a lot of things, I don't think you can compare something that happened, what was that, 20 years ago? 30 years ago?
Probably more, yeah.
It's a completely different time. Things that were acceptable then are not acceptable today. And that's just
gun laws are crazier now. The way we evaluate gun laws and anything with guns today is so immoral.
I don't even look at it as a gun law. For me, it's just a responsibility.
It's a gun owner principle. You're looking at it from those lenses. But this was supposed to be a prop. This was supposed to be something that he's using to enhance his acting. This wasn't, hey, check out my gun. Hey, you want to see my gun? And he picks up the gun and oh yeah, and it goes off. Then there's some responsibility he would have to, right? You know what I'm saying? But in this situation, no, I can't see that. I mean, I just can't see that.
All right, so let's back up.
According to him, he wasn't even aware that there was. According to Alec Baldwin, he wasn't aware that there was live ammunition, and he said that he actually didn't pull the trigger. Now, here's the funny thing: his belt buckle that he was wearing for the film, part of his costume, actually also had live bullets in it. That's what they gave him.
So do you think this is a setup?
It sounds crazy to me.
I just don't understand how, like, you don't even know if there's bullets in it. Like, that sounds crazy to me. I'm sorry. Maybe because you aren't familiar with handling guns, it doesn't sound that crazy to you. But
how about if Alec Baldwin isn't familiar with it?
Maybe he wasn't. Yeah, maybe he wasn't.
When movies has he been in with guns?
Let me ask you something.
Aren't they always like fake guns though?
A lot of times. Sometimes they're real guns, but let me just ask you something.
But I'm sorry, maybe that's something that they should change in the movie industry. Don't use fucking real guns.
I don't think they need to. With the CGI they have today, I don't see any purpose.
They don't.
But this was a low budget film, so they probably couldn't afford the CGI.
Let me ask you this, Daym. Well, I mean, still, like, we don't even know if he was supposed to be firing the weapon in the scene.
It wasn't. He was rehearsing. It wasn't recording a scene. He was rehearsing and pointed at the camera, and it went off.
So the idea that he should be able to know or feel or sense or check during a rehearsal just doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't make sense to me. But let me ask you this, coming from you. So you were in the military, and you fired a weapon several times in, training, whatever you did, right?
Sure.
You've gone to the range and you've practiced with your gun, right?
Yep.
You've cleaned your gun, unloaded it, loaded it. You've done all that, right?
Yep.
And you have training on it.
Yes.
So from your perspective, you understand what this is. But from someone like me, where I wouldn't, and maybe Alec Baldwin and maybe a dozen other actors,
that's an assumption.
You can't. It's an assumption, but it's also an assumption the other way that he should be able to tell a blank from a real bullet too.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. So my question to you is, don't you think that maybe your perspective on this is just from someone who's trained? You are trained to operate. You understand all the nuances behind all of this, where the average person who doesn't, has never really operated a firearm doesn't know this. And there are no laws and there are no regulations that are out there that require average citizens to know what you know.
I think we're making an assumption that he doesn't know. I will bet money that he has been in other movies and had to use a gun.
But you're also making an assumption that he should know. You said it.
I think anybody that is holding a gun should know. 1,000%.
But from my perspective, being that I don't own a gun and I've never held a real gun in my life, and if I'm an actor, I'm not going to think that they're going to give me a gun
with live ammunition.
As an actor, I wouldn't either, but I would still check.
How are you going to check if you don't know? How am I going to check? How am I going to know the difference? Am I going to Google what's the difference between a real? It's not his.
You have a trained professional right there available to you.
That he should have. He's the one that's responsible for it. So definitely he should be the one charged, not him. Not even for manslaughter.
The armorer has a responsibility. Absolutely. I'm saying so does the person that's handling the gun. And obviously,
I can't get. I don't see that. That just
let me read you something from a law professor at the University of New Mexico. He said, regardless of what the practices may be in the entertainment industry, and regardless of what the protocols are in Hollywood sets, that's not the law. The gun was in his hands, and if there's any possibility that you are handling something that could harm someone, then you have an obligation to handle it safely. Everyone in the chain of custody had some responsibility. This is not my this is not my job defense does not fly here.
All right. Well, according to the definition of and what he's being charged with, involuntary manslaughter, the common definition is defined as an unintentional killing that results from either from recklessness or criminal negligence, or from the commission of a low-level crime, acts such as like a misdemeanor. So if he unintentionally killed someone while he was robbing a store, that would fall under an involuntary manslaughter, right? He's robbing a store, the gun falls, it shoots someone.
If you hit somebody with a car, that's involuntary manslaughter.
Right. But according to the definition, it would result from either recklessness, criminal negligence, or the commission from a low-level crime. I don't think he falls into any of that. He was
negligent.
How
criminal negligence? No.
I have a question.
Criminal. It's criminal specifically. It's criminal negligence, not negligence.
I think just depends on where you look.
I have a question. Is there a protocol? Is there a law? Is there a rule that an actor that is giving a prop has to make sure that the prop
it's a gun?
Okay.
There's no such rule that I'm aware of.
I mean, again, how is it his negligent on his part?
Because he held the gun. And so when you're holding a gun, which is something that can cause someone harm, you are responsible for making sure
okay, so with a real gun, can you put blanks in a real gun or?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't even know that.
Yes.
I just thought that the guns.
The only difference between the blank and what we're calling a live bullet is that one has gunpowder in it and the other one is empty.
So the blank, when it shoots out, can it harm someone?
There's nothing to shoot out. It's no gunpowder. There's nothing to go pow. The gun.
They use the real guns typically with blanks because it's in throughout history it makes the scene more realistic to do it that way. The actors react a certain way to the flash and the kickback, and so there's a reason why it's been that way for a long time now. And for years we've had certain films where they're using props and the gun shooting is post-production, right? If you have a job, if your job is to light a set and the set catches on fire, you're responsible for that. If your job is to be the person who's handing providing the weapons, handing the weapons, and hey, these are blanks in here, cold gun, and you give it to someone and the gun goes off, that person should not be responsible for that.
I have a question for Damian.
Sure.
So like, I'm kind of piggyback writing from what you said, Julian. So if you're on set and the scene calls for you to light something on fire, for it to explode, right? And it does explode for real and someone dies, you're responsible for that too? You should have checked to make sure that it wasn't real TNT.
Right. Or is it the pyrotechnique or technician that's responsible for that?
It's not a valid comparison.
It's perfect.
We're talking about a movie set. We're talking about a scene. We're talking about an explosion. We're talking about I detonated what's supposed to be exploding, but now it's exploding for real and someone dies. Am I held responsible for that? Or was I supposed to check?
Hey, here, Arnold Schwarzenegger, take this Molotov cocktail, throw it into the to the thing, and we're gonna blow it up with whatever. They do it, and
I would make sure I would make sure that's not gasoline in this Molotov cocktail.
No,
that should better be water.
No, I would understand if this was a scary movie and he had a knife and he stabbed someone and he killed someone, because you can, if the knife is real or not. But in a movie set, kind of like in surgery, everybody has a position, everybody has a responsibility, so everything can flow, right? At the end of the day, in surgery, if you make a mistake, it's the surgeon's fault. That's, at the end of the day, he's the one at fault. But there's like,
you're making my point.
No, he is not responsible. That's what I'm saying. If I am the technician and I fuck up really bad, at the end of the day, is the surgeon's fault. It will not fall on me.
In this scenario, Alec Baldwin is the surgeon and the armorer is the technician.
No, he is not. The armor is the one. The armor is the one on top, responsible for everything.
No.
He's the technician. The armor is the surgeon.
Let's hold on a second, because we're gonna rewind this and we're gonna flip this whole perspective. Then maybe you'll understand what I'm saying. Before all of this shit happened, camera crew had walked off the job because of unsafe environment. There were 2 accidental discharges. I mean, the gun goes pow, real bullets. 2 times this happened prior to this woman being shot. The armorer.
You're making our point.
Nope.
You're making our point.
Just listen. The armorer was also tasked with taking care of the props crew. So she had 2 jobs that she was supposed to do, as opposed to just being responsible for the armorer. And she had complained previously about being stretched between the 2 jobs.
She's complaining to Alec Baldwin about this? Because as the actor, he's not even involved in any of this.
He is not the actor. He is the producer. And that's the point to my second point of view. As the producer, he's responsible for the budget. He's responsible for who's hired. He's responsible for these managers and these positions that are filled as the producer. So he was aware as the No. He as a producer, you're supplying whatever money or positions you're hiring. That's the executive. That's the executive producer.
Okay. So as a producer, he's the one who's responsible for the armorer?
Yes, the armorer is part of the staff. So the producer is responsible. The producer is responsible for creating the budget. The producer is responsible for the finances, hiring the managers, and filling the staff.
Right. So if you're the producer and you're bringing on a staff and they're getting paid to do a job, it doesn't matter if it's a cheaper staff member or whatever. You're not liable for that. He shouldn't be liable because that woman was incompetent.
She wasn't incompetent. She had too much responsibilities because of he used a low budget and didn't hire enough people.
So wait, I have a question. So he was here. So wait, as a producer,
an armor,
now things change.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, wait. Which is it? So he's liable because you said he had the gun in his hand, or because he's a producer?
I said from both points of view.
Okay.
Okay,
that's
so
what I started with saying.
Now.
Yes.
I have a question now, because for me, things change a little bit, that he wasn't just the actor coming into a scene, doing and leaving. So was he aware of the other two discharges?
Everybody was aware.
He wasn't aware that there were live bullets in that. So
was
yeah,
he aware? Was he aware that at some point? Was he aware at some point during the film that there were live ammunition prior to this scene?
Yes, because there were two accidental discharges that had already happened prior to.
So a gun only discharges if it's live ammunition. It won't discharge if it's a blank.
Right. It requires gunpowder to go pow. That's what thrusts the bullet.
Okay. It can still go off. Just make sure we're asking the right question here. Patricia, the gun can still go. No, right. There's no projectile, but it can still go off.
Like you still hear the noise.
No, there's no go off.
Yes.
I'm confused.
Daym, the trigger can still go off.
So what I'm saying is,
there's nothing to ignite. It's like a car with no gas.
What I'm saying is, because I'm not a gun person and all, and I'm very ignorant in this subject. If I'm in a movie and when you say they have blanks, I'm assuming that the gun shoots, it makes the noise, but nothing goes off.
No,
that's not what happens.
Nothing comes out.
Not even a noise.
A noise does come out.
Of the gun.
Yes, that's what we're talking about.
The trigger, the hammer, when the hammer drops, it makes a noise. It's not firing anything.
It's not. I'm not talking about an actual fire coming out. I'm saying if you shoot a blank gun, does it go pew?
No.
Does it make a shooting sound?
Not what you're asking, no. With the shooting, the sound that you're displaying is the sound of a bullet, not the gun. And okay. No, that does not happen.
So if you hear, so you can tell the difference between a gun that goes off with a bullet versus a gun that goes out with a blank.
Yes.
Okay, so right here, I'm reading it. Blanks can also kill people. So, and it says right here, make no mistakes, blanks can kill. In 1984, actor John Enrick died while on the set of CBS's Cover-Up as a result of a blank cartridge.
They don't use those blanks in movie sets anymore. Those blanks are the blanks that we use in the military for training. They do have some degree, they do have some small amount of gunpowder in them.
So they don't use those blanks anymore, but they use live ammunition.
The live ammunition should never be on set. That was a mistake.
But it was. Alec Baldwin didn't bring the gun.
According to the armorer, live ammunition came mixed in with the blanks.
So it's the armorer's fault.
Period. In the story.
But because by your logic, then the director should be charged with manslaughter, the producer should be charged with manslaughter, the assistant producer, the assistant directors, everybody should be charged with manslaughter by your logic.
As the producer who is responsible for the budget, who is responsible for hiring enough people to do the work, the whole staff was overworked. The person that's responsible for making sure the blank bullets should have been the ones in the gun was also responsible for doing the props. And she was reprimanded because she was sucking at doing the props because she was split between two different jobs.
Then if she
complained about it. The boss, just like you said in your scenario where the surgeon was the one that was responsible, that's Alec Baldwin as the producer, because he is the one that is in charge of the whole fucking team. who's hired to do what, and who spends the money to get the appropriate amount of people in there. And with all of these instances, that they had, with the accidental discharges, camera crew leaving because they didn't feel safe, it shouldn't have gotten to this point.
They left the scene because they didn't feel safe because of
they
the
left
gun?
the job because of unsafe environment.
But they were back.
Whatever. They didn't feel safe there.
So is he being charged manslaughter because he shot the gun or because he was the producer?
Because he shot the gun.
Right. Has
so
nothing
then
to do
with the being producer. So why are you bringing it up?
I said those were my 2 points of views. That's why he was responsible. I had it from 2 different perspectives.
If anything, I feel that he should have some kind of charge, not manslaughter, for not being responsible and it trickling down, but not because he shot it.
I don't think he should be charged with anything. And just so you guys know, if you didn't know already, the maximum sentence for
it's like 18 months.
It's 18 months. So it's not
still.
Yeah, I just don't see the point in it.
And $5,000
this isn't justice. Fine. Right. This isn't justice. This isn't justice.
So what is
and
it?
that's my issue with it. It does nothing.
So what it's not just grandstanding? They're doing it for the hell of it.
Yeah, I mean, I just gave you a precedent. There's several of them where you've never heard of an actor getting charged for this stuff, and this has happened before.
What's this guy's name? The most lying congressman in the history of lying congressmen.
Isn't it Santos?
Yes.
Something Santos?
Something Santos. Maybe that might not even be his real name. Who the fuck knows?
Yeah, right.
The list is incredible.
Long. It doesn't even seem real.
It is unreal. And yet it's so true.
And I'm just glad he's a Republican.
George Santos.
Is it George or Jorge? He's probably John Smith.
John Smith.
Yeah, it's George.
So today, I mean, we could go through the list of lies he's been caught in already. But today, a picture comes out, and whatever. It doesn't really matter, but it just adds to the list of shit he lies about. Today, a picture comes out of him dressed in drag. And as the world is looking at it, he is saying, no, that's not me.
Right. And he supports the Don't Say Gay bill and all of that stuff. And
as a Republican. Yeah.
Yep. I want to know what his base, how do they feel about him? His supporters. Do they, because there's a segment of the population, right, that loves the trolley aspect of it. So they know Trump is a liar. They know he's a piece of shit, but they love it, right? And then there's the other segment that's just like, no, that's all fake news. None of that is real. I'm wondering if it's a similar take with him, but which one's more prominent? Is it the trolls that just love the fact that he's lying and he's still in Congress or whatever? Or is it people who are denying these reports of all his lies?
I would like to believe it's just the people that are like, yeah, fucking get away with it. Because if you're really at this point sitting here believing that all of the lies he got caught in were actually true, I mean, he's admitted to lying already and just refusing to step down. Like, how could you still believe that he's telling the truth? So I would like to believe it's just people that are like, stick it to him.
I'd rather see people ignorant, but I get.
He was the one with the GoFundMe for the veteran service dog that was dying, right? Like, where do you go from there? I don't even care about the drag queen picture. This is like half of the Republican men, anyways.
Maybe more that's than why half.
Yeah, that's why they go so hard against it.
But I mean, that is a common what's the word? I don't know. Mindset. I don't feel like it's the right word, but yeah, often they'll say you hate hate publicly
That
the
you
things
are.
you privately hate about yourself. Yeah. I don't know.
He's a clown, but I'm sure we're going to be hearing a lot more in the coming months.
I don't understand how this is allowable in the United States Congress.
You know what's going to happen, right? He's going to run for president.
No.
No way.
No way. No way. No, I don't think they nah.
He's going to run for president, man. Can you imagine him, DeSantis, and Trump up there debating?
Who could lie the best?
No.
Let's have a lie off. Into our recommendation part of the show, where we normally cover music that is dropping and Julian's suggested movie or documentaries. We're also going to add in TV series, where Patricia and I will follow a show, and we're going to talk each week about it.
We're up and coming. We're up and coming, Julian. You're part of the past.
I can tell you guys right now, audience, they're not going to follow through on this shit. Daym can't stay up for more than 30 minutes watching shit, and Patricia's got way too much shit going on in Turkey. This is bullshit. Take it with a grain of salt. It ain't happening more than 5
Excuse
episodes.
me.
Prediction right here.
Excuse me. I will binge watch a good show. I would not sit 3 hours and watch Avatar.
And yes, it may take me a few attempts to get through an episode, but I got a whole week.
They're going to come back and be like, yeah, it was good. Yeah, it was good. Yeah, it was good. It was good. Okay. This is what's going to happen.
And this is why, ladies and gentlemen, we call Julian the prolific hater.
Prolific hater.
Or the truth teller.
No.
Just to prove your point, just to prove you wrong, I'm going to take notes on these shows every single week.
All right.
So there it is. So this week,
when I see it,
the show we're gonna follow, and if you guys would like to follow along, it's a pretty interesting show on Netflix called Echoes. It's its first season, starring Michelle Monaghan, Matt Bomer, and Karen Robinson.
Nothing.
Identical twins Lenny and Gina have secretly switched places for years, but when one sister disappears, both of their lives start to fall apart. It's pretty interesting.
That sounds incredibly compelling.
I was going to ask you don't think that sounds very interesting?
Not really.
Well, you're going to miss out.
Prolific hating. Yep.
You are going to miss out.
We'll see. We'll see.
He would never admit, oh, it's a good show.
I would. There are shows that I like. If I let me put it to you this way. If let's say so for example, I loved Breaking Bad, right? But I was a little late. I was a little bit late to the show. But fell in love with it. Fell in love with the characters, the story arc. But initially I had first seen it early on when it had came out, and I watched the first episode and I thought the premise was absurd. It was stupid. And as the show went on, they answered the question as to why this character, Walter White, is who he was. I don't want to spoil it if nobody's ever seen it, but it made me appreciate it because they really went, and it goes over most people's heads. 90% of the people who watch the show don't even pick up that character. No, it really is the truth. I'm not like shitting on anybody, but no, it really was brilliant the way they did it. And my question was basically, why would someone who's a teacher, who's been, straight-laced guy his whole life, who's dying of cancer with a special needs child and a wife, why would he all of a sudden start turning into this drug dealer making meth? It didn't make sense. Your last days, I thought the premise was silly. Turns out I was wrong. And there's an explanation for it, which most people didn't even question the premise to begin with. So the fact that the show actually had an explanation was pretty brilliant. So I didn't want to watch it. I saw the first episode, thought it was stupid. a couple of years later, my daughter had convinced me. She's like, you really should give it a chance. Watch a few episodes. And I ended up watching it straight through. I binged it, loved it, have now seen it a couple of times. So Better Call Saul is a spinoff of Breaking Bad. And
I never saw
my daughter
one
was
of the episodes.
my daughter was pushing me to see that. And I was like, I'm going to wait till it's finished. I want to wait till the whole series is finished. And then I'll watch it once I know that it's a good show. And once the reviews came out and it won awards, and then I went back and I watched it, and I like it just as much as I did Breaking Bad. So it's not like I'm opposed to all TV shows, but let's not get into that again.
So you just gotta wait until the whole show is over and the rest of the world tells you, "Hey, Julian, we found one." Then you'll watch it.
Yes and no. It has to be worth my while. It has to be also like there has to be certain production values to it. There has to be, and I don't mean like a big budget. I mean like it has to really, really be done well. Like I'm just not going to watch anything just for the sake of it.
No, I don't feel like I watch anything just for the sake of it. I think there's a lot of shit on TV that I don't enjoy, but the shit that entertains me, I watch it to be entertained.
Like Below Deck?
Exactly. You know what? I don't
that.
like that you keep bringing that shit up, Patricia. Like you think that's funny or something.
It just caught me off guard that you even know what Below Deck. It's a Bravo show.
I like
Bravo. You like Bravo? Bravo is known for The Real Housewives. That's what really they're known for.
Yeah, I can't stand.
Yes, they are.
I said no. I can't stand that shit.
I'm sure you low key watch it. That's what
I have watched it. Yeah.
The Housewives.
I don't. Yeah, but I don't like it.
Never in my life. I've never seen one episode of that Kardashian shit. Not one.
Yeah, I've never watched the Kardashians either.
I've never watched one.
I watched the Kardashians. None of them. I didn't watch the early seasons of the Kardashians, but I watched later on when they became like more famous or whatever.
So recommendations. What do we got this week?
No music, just the announcement that we're gonna be rolling out this TV thing, and then whatever you got going on, my man.
Well, I got two. I got two. So the first one is a documentary on Netflix. It's called The Hatchet-Wielding Hitchhiker. You may remember the guy. I don't know if you remember the guy.
I didn't remember it, but I did watch the documentary.
Okay, so
I haven't seen it.
So basically, a couple of years ago, this guy went viral because he had rescued someone being attacked, and he hit him in the head with a hatchet. So the story progresses in a really weird and crazy way, and definitely worth a watch.
I take issue with the entire premise of this whole fucking story. I can't
of the documentary.
Yes.
Why?
Wait, I'm gonna watch it today. Where? What is it called again? Hatchet? Netflix.
The hitchhiking the hatchet wielding hitchhiker. What's it called?
This sounds kind of like one of your quotes of the week.
Yeah, right. I don't know who needs to hear this, but the hatchet wielding hitchhiker bought groceries.
Whatever the Mary Poppins said. I'm just gonna put hatchet.
That was hilarious.
So what's your beef, Damian?
All right. And I hate that my brain even works this way sometimes because I don't like to make things about race. But let's just look at this like for what it is. They were celebrating someone who comfortably hit a man in the head with a hatchet 2 times with the dull side, 1 time with the blade side, and had the composure to stand there and tell jokes and be endearing and be embraced by everybody around that had no problem with this shit happening, to the point that people chased him all across the damn state. A female producer housed them in her house.
You know, he hit that.
The way she was talking, I wouldn't doubt it. And
should she have been fired?
No.
No.
Okay.
Oh.
I mean, what she does on her personal time, that's her business. But
don't spoil the end, but yeah, I got it.
I know I wasn't going anywhere near the end. It's, for me, the whole issue is the beginning.
So I would agree with you that the way that they were chasing him and trying to make him famous, it was one, exploitive, and two, they knew what they were doing.
But not even going that far, the initial scene, like the first reporter talking to him.
It's because the guy he hit, just so you know, Patricia, and anyone who hasn't seen it, the man he hit ran and pinned a black man into another vehicle or whatever, and came out and said he was Jesus and he's killing black people and all of this. And then he attacked a woman, and that's when this guy came and hit him. It's crazy, but I understand why the media became so infatuated with the guy. I mean, he was on Jimmy Kimmel and everything.
So if this was a black man, do you think that media personality would have been so interested in him and so cheesy and happy to interview him, or do you think he would have been in cuffs somewhere? Would they have chased him across the state? What would this woman have felt comfortable to have him in her house? Like, no, the whole fucking thing is crazy to me. I just think it was more, his actions were more acceptable because he was white and he was, had a friendly appearance.
I have issues with those kind of comparisons, and I do, because there are scenarios where I've seen black people, Hispanic people, people of color get away with insane shit. So just comparing something that's real, that we know that happened, to just some scenario, I hate the comparison. Now, to your point, you are probably correct, right? If it was a black man, even if they didn't arrest him, they certainly wouldn't be chasing him across the whole state of California or wherever he was, to make him famous.
It was just so much more acceptable, and everybody was just so welcoming.
Because he was a dude. He was like, yeah, dude. He was like a surfer boy. He had this look to him.
He was very endearing. Yeah, I mean, he was charming, but that to me was kind of what was so sick about it. Like, he just hatcheted a man 3 times and hops on camera and like, hey, just remember you're important. Someone loves you. And like this, think about the mentality of somebody like that.
But that's the hero mentality that you see in this country. It's this bullshit hero mentality, right? If now let me ask you this, Damian. We're gonna go in a rabbit hole with this one. If he didn't have a hatchet and he shot the guy dead for protecting that woman, you wouldn't have a problem, would you?
Of course I would. How the fuck would you think I wouldn't have a problem with that?
I don't know. Maybe because of that one gun story we were talking about.
It's gun versus gun. That the man didn't have a gun. He was holding a woman in her arms. There's no reason for a gun to be interjected
after he crashed his car and try to kill a man. It looks like he was trying to kill this woman as well.
Right, but he wasn't trying to kill her with a gun. So you should be able to intervene in another way.
So if the hatchet guy just shot him, that would have been fine?
No.
Or no, that would have been the same. You would have had the same issue.
Yeah.
Because most would have called him a hero regardless, whether it was a hatchet or a gun.
I think the whole fucking thing is crazy, but no, I think the gun is definitely...
I think it's crazy too. No doubt about it. It's crazy. I'm not debating you on that. That shit, it was crazy. And that's why it's interesting, and everyone should check it out. That's my documentary recommendation of the week. And I'm changing it up. I don't have another doc for you guys this week. I want to do something a little bit lighter, and I mentioned it earlier today. Puss in Boots. The Last Wish was fantastic. Now, if you ever watched the Shrek movies, you know, the character Puss in Boots, played by Antonio Banderas, and then they did the Puss in Boots solo film, and now this is the sequel. Many years later, didn't think they would ever do a sequel. It's funny. It's DreamWorks, back to what, you know, we love what they used to do, that kind of edgy, kind of a lot of little adult wink wink comedy and jokes in there. Pixar, Disney has utterly just destroyed you know, any other animated cartoon or films or whatever. I mean, they really have a monopoly on it now, but it was really good to see Puss in Boots in action. It was funny, good story, great animation. Salma Hayek and Antonio Banderas were hilarious. And check it out. It's still in the movies, but I think I know you can get early access to it online. So stream it, check it out.
Online it is.
Yeah, I paid $29 to buy the film
one time
in 4K. Well, no, I bought it, so I can stream it anytime I want.
Right, so you only have one ticket.
I wouldn't have cost me $29 in the theater.
Not by yourself, but you wouldn't go to the theater by yourself usually.
Why not?
Well,
I'm one person.
I guess some people do. My mom likes to go to the movies by herself.
Yeah. I mean,
that's what old people like to do. Not that I'm calling your mom.
Yo.
Cut this part.
It's staying.
Better apologize.
Sorry, Mama.
Anyway, those are my two recommendations.
Mature people like to do.
Mature.
Yeah. So that's that. Puss in
Quote of the
Boots,
day. Ready for the quote of the Daym?
Quote of the Daym.
By the way, I came up with that.
You did. Thank you. It was good.
What was that?
That was Patricia.
That was me with my lesson.
Oh.
All right. Well, I don't know who needs to hear this, but
the hatchet wielding hitchhiker is a product of white racism.
Look at you, making your job harder. I don't know who needs to hear this, but if you sit in shit too long, it stops smelling. So come the fuck out of that. It's a great quote by Jessica Lewis.
Hold on. What?
Repeat it again. I don't even know how he could say that with a straight face. Repeat that shit again, Daym.
By not looking at Patricia, because her face was fucking hilarious.
I need to hear that again. It didn't sink in. As soon as you said shit, and I was just, what the fuck is he talking about? Let's hear this inspirational quote.
If you sit in shit too long, it stops smelling. So come the fuck out of that.
And whose quote is that?
The great Jessica Lewis.
That's a terrible quote.
It's not.
It is horrible.
It's not.
First of all, being that I have little kids that sometimes forget to flush the fucking toilet, I can vouch that the longer you let the shit stay in the sink, the worse it smells.
I'm
sorry, not the sink, the bathroom. Sorry, the bathtub.
Now your kids shit in the bathtub?
Is that how they doing the turkey?
The toilet. I meant the bathroom. The bathroom smells really bad. So I have no idea what you're talking about. Flush that shit right away.
It smells bad because you're walking into it. But if you stayed in there for a long time, you would no longer smell it. And that's kind of the point. That's a great quote.
All right.
It speaks to depression.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Get that.
Ladies and gentlemen.
See? You're so hung up on the shit that you can't even look into what it was actually talking about.
To the audience out here watching this, I'm going to do something on post-production.
Oh.
Okay? So, and it's going to start now. Daym, could you please repeat the quote?
If you sit in shit too long, it stops smelling. So come the fuck out of that.
Inspirational. And there you have it. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, leave a comment.
And flush.
And on behalf of myself, Julian, Daym, you got anything to say before we leave?
Peace.
Patricia, what do you got to say?
Peace.
All right. Peace, y'all.